Granderson leading off in center field. Placido Polanco, who hit a 3-run bomb last night, is at second base. Miguel Cabrera, this first baseman, bats third. Marcus Thames is in left field, the cleanup man, followed by right fielder Don Kelly tonight. Brandon Inge at third base. Gerald Laird at catcher, batting seventh. Ramon Santiago at shortstop, batting eighth. Alfredo Figueroa, the pitcher, bats ninth.
Felipe Paulino fresh off the disabled list with that strained groin. First start since June 7th. He's made 8 starts. He's 1-4, the 6.18 ERA. Defensively, the Astros shape up this way, and it's brought to you by the Houston area BMW dealers, Lee, Bourne, and Pence. Keppinger, Tejada, Matsui's really been playing a solid second base. Lance at first, and Humberto Quintero gets a start behind the plate.
Paulino with that one major league win, got that in relief. As a starting pitcher, he's 0-4 with a 5.09 ERA. The win came in Atlanta back on the 2nd of May. And he was in relief during that period, then went back into the rotation May 12th, made 5 starts on the DL with a groin problem. This will be his first start since June 7th here against the Pirates. Curtis Granderson takes his first pitch, and it's at 96 for strike one. Granderson, 259 with 17 homers, has 42 runs batted in. He walked twice last night, went 0 for 3. He's behind. 2 balls, 2 strikes in the count. And a breaking pitch down and in makes it a 1-2 count, with Quintero calling the game for Paulino tonight. Nice ceremonies pregame for Pudge Rodriguez, breaking the all-time record for games caught. 2 balls, 2 strikes. There is a nice display given to Pudge by the Astros. Photos, home plate, a lot of memorabilia involved in that. And Leland out there.
Got Bob Boone on hand.
We're going to have Bob on the air with us here in a few minutes. He has an early flight. He's agreed to come on. And a fastball strikes out Granderson.
Well, the Tigers breaking out some big arms in this series, and the Astros can counter one with 1-2 in Felipe Paulino. We've seen his fastball up at 98, 99 miles an hour at times. And he just blows that one right by Granderson.
Now Placido Polanco. Polanco takes strike one. He's on a 4-game hitting streak, 263 batting average. Hit his 4th homer last night. He drove in 3 last night to give him 30 for the season. With a blistering fastball, just misses outside. It's 1 ball, 1 strike. Paulino's made 1 interleague start. That was here against the Rangers. He got a no decision. Hit to center field, Michael Bourne. 2 down for Paulino. That's Miguel Cabrera, 4-time All-Star already at age 26. Cabrera's tied for 5th in the American League in hits. With 89, he has a .337 batting average. That's 2nd in the league. He's hit 16 homers and he's driven in 47. Cabrera hit a first-inning homer last night, going 2 for 4 in the game. Dotting the outside edge for strike one for Paulino. Good matchup of 2 young, hard-throwing right-handers today, Paulino and Figueroa. Ichiro is on top. Cabrera's just been a hitting machine since he came up with Florida in 03. 4 balls, 2 strikes.
99 miles an hour. The stadium gun had it at 102, but the stadium gun is juiced. I mean, we got Jemai at 105 last night. He throws hard, but he doesn't throw 105.
We've never seen that number up there before.
The gun is being affected by the weather.
Foul back.
Yeah, he is so quick to the ball. That's a hanging changeup there from Wandy, but he's the kind of guy that can turn around that 97-mile-an-hour fastball. Quick short stroke.
Broken bat. Goes out to Matsui at second. Turns out to be out number 3. Nice return to the rotation for Paulino. No score. Come up, and their lineup brought to you by Southwest Airlines. Begins with Michael Bourne in center, Jeff Kepinger's at third, Miguel Tejada at shortstop, Carlos Lee the cleanup man at left field, Lance Berkman first base, Hunter Pence right field, Kazuo Matsui at second base, Humberto Quintero the catcher, for Felipe Paulino.
And young right-hander Alfredo Figueroa pitches for the Tigers tonight. We'll give you a little scouting report on him. He originally a Dodger, then released, signed as a minor league free agent in 05 by the Tigers. Solid minor league credentials, including 5 and 2 at Double-A this year. And last year at this time, he was pitching in the Midwest League, so he's come a long way in a short period of time.
Bob Boone joining us. We're very happy that he's made a little time in his schedule. He's about to catch a flight, but was involved in the pregame ceremonies for Pudge Rodriguez, and good to see you, Bob.
Thank you. Quite an honor for me to be here. I was telling Pudge when the first record when I broke it with was Al Lopez at 1918.
Wow.
And he flew in from Tampa to Anaheim. I was very honored by that.
Oh, that's terrific. There's a nice bunt by Bourne, and he's on with a bunt single. It's his 8th bunt hit of the year, and we hope that your son Aaron will be able to join this club pretty soon, Bob.
Well, Aaron's probably watching right now. He's doing great. He's full-blown workouts. Started hitting this week, and he's looking forward to getting back. He really feels good about himself when he started working out. I think when he started, he was a little nervous. So.
That's great. Now, to have the kind of durability you had, and Fisk and now Rodriguez, that is just phenomenal to think about going behind the plate that many times.
Well, there's a lot of things, you see the record, and that's great. And, Pudge has been such a great player for so long. But there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that gets you out to that behind the dish that many times. And the public really doesn't get to see the work that you really need to do that. And there's really an art form, I think, in keeping yourself healthy.
We've seen him work at it. He's in the gym early in the morning working for a night game, and that shows the dedication he has. Keppinger with a foul ball. Now, refresh my memory, I think when you played with Steve Carlton, Gus Heffling was big on the workouts involving rice in it.
Well, when I started, I met Gus. Actually, I met Gus before Lefty, and Gus was working with the Eagles and Roman Gabriel.
Okay.
And I went and met him and talked about starting to train. He used to get on me all the time, learning to work, and it really was. It was a learning experience of what it really is to train seriously. And once I got with him, my last 15 years, I trained every day for year round, and there's no question in my mind that it helped in the longevity.
Was Lefty the best you ever caught?
Yes.
And he was kind of a peculiar guy, right? I mean, he had some idiosyncrasies, did he not? I mean, that must have been fun.
Are we
to
live
work
here
the
now?
game.
He's my buddy now. He's my friend.
No,
he lefty. We'll put it this: he was a one of a kind. He was very unique. And probably had as good a concentration and focus on what he was doing as certainly any pitcher I've ever met. He had the ability, when he rarely made a little mechanical error, he would fix it by the next pitch. He was phenomenal at it. It was one of the true things of catching him that I thought was amazing, along with his stuff and certainly his tremendous slider. But he was, and he trained. We trained together for a long time with Gus Heffling, and it really made a difference. Certainly in his career, he never ran at all.
Was that right? Really?
Interesting.
And
the workout endorsed. Yeah.
The workout. Was,
he did a lot of the martial arts.
Most of the people that came in that we try to get to do it after about 3 days, they'd be out running. They'd be out running.
25th steal for Bourne while Keppinger struck out. Now it's Tejada, and that, as you say, that kind of escapes public notice, but so very important in a career.
Well, you see the guys that really last. Carlton Fisk went to that. He had a guy in Chicago. He really started training real serious. I mean, it's like training for the Olympics, or it's a serious thing that a lot of ball players don't do. I mean, everybody works out now, but the seriousness of the training was something that I got hooked on, and I know Carlton Fisk got hooked on, and I think it's definitely kind of inhibited the aging process.
Did you catch as a kid, Bob? Did you start as a catcher and stay? Or
no, I was a pitcher and a third baseman. I signed as a third baseman out of Stanford, and actually played to Double-A as a third baseman. And then we got, I think they actually moved me because of Don Money, but it just coincided with when Mike Schmidt came in. In fact, in Double-A, Mike played short, and I played third most of the time in Double-A. Yeah.
So did they have to convince you, or was it a willing move?
A little bit.
Not easy to do.
I was in the instructional league, and they wanted me to do it. And I remember calling my dad quite a bit. I really looked at it as, you're trying to make me a utility player, and I'm an everyday player. And I told him, I said, if this comes to me quickly, I'll do it. And thank God it did. It came to me quickly. I mean, it was the greatest thing that ever happened in my career, certainly.
And how about the fact that you caught and then ultimately went on to manage? Do you think if you didn't catch, would you? I mean, how much did that help you in your managerial career, having been behind the plate?
There's so many catchers that become managers, and I think for me, the most important part of the game is, first of all, calling the correct pitches. To me, if you do that, you got a chance. And so having the knowledge of that, and then I think also catchers, you're not really a player and you're not a pitcher. And in dealing and having relationships with pitchers is very much like what a manager has to have in having relationships with his whole team. And to me, it was just an extension of that. What I did as a manager for the whole team was real similar to what I did with pitchers. I got to know every pitcher. They knew me. I mean, you have to have a true relationship with them so that you get in sync with them and get calling the right things, and they feel comfortable with you. And it's very similar to what you do as a manager. Of course, you're in every game and you're looking at the game. The catcher looks at the game.
And I think that would probably be one of the biggest challenges would be to catch with a 12 or 13-man staff and to know every guy and not only what he throws and how he gets people out, but how he responds to.
Absolutely. I liken it to a jockey riding a racehorse. I mean, those guys that ride the same horse all the time, or they get in the Derby and you talk to them about the horse, they really know the horse. It's not just jump on his back and hit him with the whip and run around. And it's very similar. I felt like as a catcher, it was really important to know. First of all, have them trust you that you're not allowed to make mistakes as a catcher. It's tough when I'm fighting with you. Throw the curveball and you're telling me a fastball, I'm trying the curveball, and you give in to me in the curveball and they hit it out of the ballpark. Right. So I always tell my catchers, don't fight with a pitcher unless you make sure you're right, because as soon as you're wrong, that guy's not going to trust you anymore.
That's the one when he's He watches the ball fly over the wall, but before he does, he turns and looks at you. He gives you this one, right?
But I must tell you, over my career, I spent more time of calling a pitch and catching, and the guy's shaking me off, and I go to this one, and then I go back, and he shakes me off. Okay, we'll throw your pitch, and that's the one that gets hit.
Gets whacked,
and I always used to go in the dugout and sit down next to him and go, "That was a good pitch you called it." I always let him know that, hey, if you'd have stuck with me, you'd have been better off.
And did you ever say him if they threw yours and it still got hit? And he said, well, if you hadn't hung it, we would have been okay here.
Yeah, it never got hit.
Yeah. Ironically, here we are talking to one of the guys who caught the most games, and there's already been a catching change here in the bottom of the first inning, Bob. Pretty rare.
Yeah, it is. It's, one of my responsibility. I'm the assistant GM for the Washington Nationals and have a lot to do with all of the catching, particularly in the minor leagues, and it's a really tough guy position. It's not. I mean, it's like you're not allowed. I know you get hit on the hand and that hurts, but we need you in there. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
You know, you need guys that will take it and play with us. I mean, we don't have enough catchers if you came out all the time when you get
how difficult is this? You're changing catchers in midstream. A couple of men on base. Carlos Lee at the plate.
It's good for the Stros.
Dusty Ryan's not in the flow of this game at all. Ground ball into left field. Michael Barner around third. And the throw to the plate, not in time. So the very first pitch he calls is hit into left field. And you're not in the flow of the game.
What was he thinking? That's the other thing of a catcher. You know, you got a lot of years when you call that pitch and it's a walk-off home run and the game's over, and the manager wants to know, why did you call that pitch? You've got to have an explanation.
And when they show the replay of the swing, you're the guy sitting back there. That's right. Put the fingers down.
I said, I knew he threw a fastball, but that's not the one I wanted.
The league gets RBI number 44 to make it 1-0 Houston. Now it's Lance Berkman. As you stay so involved with the game, and you've just seen your AAA club, your club is really building now with the top draft choice. Now you got to sign him, but bringing all that talent through the minors, getting it to the big leagues, making it work, that's quite a challenge for you right now.
It's been really fun for us. It's been frustrating too. I mean, we're bringing up the rear this year pretty badly, and of course I'm involved in every area, so it's like, good, we're going to get the first round pick next year, or the first pick again next year, and it's really not a position you want to be in. If they see the talent that's out there and go, that's going to be fun that way. But our system, when we came in 5 years ago now, when went from the Expos to Washington, the minor leagues was completely decimated, and we're finally getting our guys to AAA and starting to get our guys to the big leagues, and that's really gratifying. That's really a fun thing, and we've got 5 starting pitchers right now under the age of 24. And you don't win a lot with that, but you can sure develop the heck out of them, and they're very talented. So we're pretty excited about the future in Washington, and but we're going through some serious pains getting to the future right now.
Jim Leland was excited to see Figueroa pitch for the second time tonight. Lance Berkman takes. He throws in the mid-90s, and that's one thing, but throwing with command, that's really what everybody talks about.
It's what it's all about. It's all about, I go out looking at draft picks and you talk to scouts, and everybody kind of justifies this guy being good because he throws 92, 94. I keep saying, every night you watch a big league game, somebody throws one 95, and that hitter at the big league whacks it over the wall. So there's a lot more to it than velocity. And it really, to me, the first thing that I look for is command, and you got to be able to put it where you want to, and then you have to know how to stage it.
But isn't that what separates Strasburg a little bit from the pack? Isn't his fastball command pretty good for a college kid that throws 100 or whatever?
His fastball commands, I rate it as general. He throws strikes with it at. He probably pitches. He's going to pitch 95 to 98, I would say. But he's got 2 breaking balls that he really puts in the right spot. that's, to me, is what really separates him. We have guys in baseball that throw as hard as him. He throws strikes. I think he walked 10 this year and 100. So, he's a special cat. And he's, his mechanics are really good. And, and he certainly dominated by far college baseball this year with almost 2 strikeouts a minute. I mean, you watch him, you go, that's pretty special. He's not going to have to spend a lot of time in the minor leagues.
Workman bounces it foul, and as Mike Rizzo has said, well, you look at the track record of jumping guys straight to the big leagues, it's not good.
No. And he's going to, I really believe, and I don't know how much time. I mean, I think if we could sign him, he could be in the back end of our bullpen, just come in firing by September. But to really be a pitcher, and that's what we're going through right now. We've got some guys in it. Jordan Zimmerman is a real special pitcher, and he's going to be a really good one. But guys come in with great stuff, but they don't become really good for a few years. There's a learning curve at the major league, certainly a learning curve in the minor leagues, but there's a big learning curve in the major leagues. And nobody comes in and has their best year their first year. They all have their best years 3 and 4 and 5 years down the road. And you just kind of evaluate the stuff and the command and see how they learn to stage their pitches a little better and learn hitters. That's a big thing that young people come in. They really haven't faced guys a lot, and a lot of the guys that if they have a long career, they're going to face quite a bit. And you don't know them until you start learning from that. And usually you learn from mistakes more than you learn from your successes.
Yeah, and I think that's what happens. Some of the kids with the really good arms don't get hit a lot as they come up through the chain, so they haven't experienced failure until they get to the big leagues, and it's a bit of a shock.
Well, it's a real shock when you go in amateur baseball, and even probably up to the AA level. A lot of guys get by if they have real good arms. It's like, well, when I'm in trouble, I just reach back, throw it harder. It doesn't work at the major league level. It does not work. In fact, it probably works better if you reach back and throw it softer. And Greg Maddox has been, the epitome of that. But it really is about being able to repeat your delivery and hit spots.
Bob Boone, thanks so much for joining us.
My pleasure, and I just congratulate Pudge. It was, he's got a lot more games to play. He's blowing this record by.
1-0 Astro.
To honor some of the great moments in the 10-year history of Minute Maid Park, we present the 10-year bracket challenge. Quarterfinals this week, and you vote between Craig Biggio's final game in 2007 or Jeff Kent's home run in the bottom of the ninth, Game 5, 2004 NLCS. You vote at Astros.com.
Marcus Thames leads it off, taking ball one from Felipe Paulino, who had a 1-2-3 first inning. It's 2 balls, no strikes. We're getting an announcement on Gerald Laird. Thames 273, 5 homers, 12 runs batted in. Laird had to leave the game with an injury in the bottom of the first. Counts are fair. Keppinger with a throw, and it's a good one. He was headed for the Tiger dugout, throwing across his body, right on the money to Lance Berkman. 1 out.
You see Jeff work his way around that ground ball. A little easier to get that ball from his glove to the throwing hand in rhythm.
That's Don Kelly. Lower back spasms. The injury for Gerald Laird, forcing him out of the game. Kelly takes the heater upstairs for ball 1. The versatile Tigers, 323, no homers, 3 runs batted in. Fouls that one away. Can play outfield and infield spots. And Jim Leland really managed last night. He was wheeling and dealing with bench players, including Kelly. He used all but one of his bench players. The backup catcher Ryan is in the game now. Foul back, and Kelly has a 1 ball, 1 strike count. Kelly, 29 years old, from Butler, PA, north of Pittsburgh. He was hitting .339 at AAA Toledo when he was called up. Had 14 steals there. Breaking pitch, did he go? They appeal to third, he did. Jim Reynolds with the call, strikeout number 2.
Well, when Paulino's been on his game this year, it's that combination of mid to upper 90s fastball and a big slider that he gets on top of and gets good tilt on, and that's exactly what he does here. Very good tempo, works quickly, and really tries to set the tone by attacking the hitter.
Brandon Inge, 2 for 4 with a walk last night, 274 with 17 homers this season. Strike for Inge. He scored 44 runs, playing a good third base for Detroit. Good tempo, yeah, it was. He broke it off in the dirt, and it's 0-2.
Yeah, when you look at Paulino's numbers, they're not all that impressive with an ERA above 6, but he's done a lot of good things so far this year.
Does another good thing for strikeout number 3. He's retired the first 6. It's 1-0 Houston. Detroit nothing. Bottom of the second coming up later in our Dodge Grab Live feature. We'll hear from Hunter Pence on his favorite video game. He's speaking with Sean Barry right now as Kazuo Matsui prepares to bat. against Alfredo Figueroa, who gave up a bunt single to Michael Bourne. Bourne stole second. Tejada hit by the pitch, and Lee RBI single.
Tigers defense brought to you by the Houston area BMW dealers in Santiago, Polanco, Cabrera, and Thames, Granderson, and Kelly in the outfield. Dusty Ryan behind the dish with the injury to Gerald Laird.
Matsui ropes one into right. Something on the first pitch here from Figueroa in the bottom of the second inning. And Matsui, who had an important hit late in the game last night, comes through.
Yep. Caswell has been swinging well lately. He's been playing a solid second base, at times spectacular at second base.
He's aboard to lead it off. Quintero will follow. He's looking down at Dave Clark for signs with a .302 batting average. No homers, 9 runs batted in. Matsui single to start the go-ahead rally in the 8th inning last night. Matsui has 6 steals in 9 attempts. Fly ball right field toward the line for Don Kelly. Makes his way over for the catch. Matsui tagging, drawing a throw. 1 out for Figueroa. Figueroa gave up 8 hits in 5 innings and beating Milwaukee. Milwaukee 2 and Fanning 7. That first major league start. Faces Paulino now. Paulino has 1 hit in 11 at bats with 2 sacrifice bunts. 059 career hitter. Inge is in tied at third. Tigers have allowed 38 steals in 55 attempts coming into this game. Michael Bourne with a steal back in the first. Bunted foul. Strike 1 to Paulino.
Felipe better be careful. I didn't notice it there, but when he first squared, it looked like he had his hand wrapped around the barrel of the bat. Keep those fingers out of harm's way.
Two sacrifice bunts for Paulino. It was a rarity last night for the Tigers. Their starting pitcher, Justin Verlander, put down 2 sacrifice bunts. That had not happened for a Tiger pitcher since the DH came in. Bunted in the air, and this is back for Dusty Ryan, but he can't get there. Didn't stay up all that long for him, and he fell a little short in his attempts to catch it. No balls, 2 strikes.
Not a real good effort there as Felipe offers that a pitch up around the letters. So you got to do is make sure you get a strike when you're up there to bunt. And I would be inclined here to keep the bunt on with 2 strikes. Just for fear if you turn him loose, he might ground into an inning-ending double play.
This one gets off the mitt of Ryan, and that allows Matsui to move to second.
Wildness really benefited the Astros last night. Joel Zumaya came in throwing 150 miles an hour, but couldn't find the strike zone. And now trying to give the Tigers an out to advance the base runner. They get a freebie with the wild pitch or pass ball, I guess it is. And I wonder if the shadows, we talk about the shadows affecting the hitters, it may be affecting the catcher too as that ball works its way homeward through the dappled infield there. You get to use the word dappled for every 6:05 home start.
1-2 after the pass ball by Ryan. And now Paulino takes. It's 2-2.
And now swinging with 1 out. There's no advantage. So bunt the man over to third here.
Michael Bourne's on deck. The Astros have played 6 straight games at home decided by 1 run. No fouls it. Watch it over there.
Some accelerated heart rates going on right now.
Yeah. He's getting another bat.
Fox Sports Houston has a Twitter page. Expand your sporting network at twitter.com/FS Houston. They're all at Twitter down there in the Astros dugout. One
issue tonight for both these clubs is the bullpen. Figueroa and Paulino starting. Strike three. That's strikeout number 3 for Figueroa. Figueroa went 5 in his first start. Paulino, of course, just coming off the disabled list tonight. Both bullpens have been worked hard lately.
Yeah, so you want to be cautious with your young pitchers, but on the same token, you're going to ask maybe a little bit more from them tonight because of the fatigued bullpen situation.
Strike to Michael Bourne to put down a bunt hit. 385 with 2 outs and men in scoring position for Michael. As JD mentioned, Figueroa was playing a Class A ball last year. This year at AA Erie, he was 5-2 with an ERA of 4.10 in 11 starts. 1 ball, 1 strike. He struck out 59 in 68 innings at AA Erie this year. Last year at West Michigan, he was 12-2 with a 2.05 for 19 starts.
Not a big guy at all. 6 foot, $175. Fastball, breaking pitch, change up. Chris Berman would have a blast with this guy. Marriage of Figueroa and call his fastball Alfredo sauce.
High, and it's 3-1. Well, Figueroa hasn't been with the Tigers very long, but he has family on the ball club. He's the cousin of the closer Fernando Rodney. He's had 5 years in the minors prior to this season. As JD mentioned earlier, released after 1 year by the Dodgers. Line to right field. Matsui around third. Here's a throw to the plate by Kelly. It's cut off. The run scores. Now a rundown. And Bourne will prolong it. And Cabrera gets it now. Runs him back. This is taking a while. Michael Bourne is out.
That was impressive. He's getting a standing ovation for the effort he spent in that rundown.
Santiago Inge with a diving tag. Or did he? 2-0 Astros. Two to nothing Houston. What a rundown play to end the second inning. And now it's Felipe Paulino versus Dusty Ryan as the third inning opens. Strike one.
Yeah, all those suicides Michael did while playing basketball in high school at Nimitz really paid off there. Shuffle drill. That was pretty impressive.
No balls and 2 strikes for Dusty Ryan, who is 2 for 6 with Detroit. He has an RBI. Filling in for the injured backup catcher, Matt Trainer, is on the disabled list. Ryan got a chance to play some for Detroit last season.
We should put a clock on this rundown, see how long it lasts. It might be a record. Oh, Kazimierz just taking it all in.
He scored the run and then was just kicking back and enjoying the rundown.
He scored the run, went in the dugout, poured himself a glass of water, came back up on the step to watch the end of that play.
Dusty Ryan started a game against the Cubs a couple days ago. And that's strikeout number 4 for Paulino. Foul tip.
And I imagine Michael Bourne is appreciative of the punch out. Don't hit me anything right now. Just let me take some deep breaths out here in center field, and because he worked really hard.
That was fun. Lone Santiago starting at shortstop for Adam Everett tonight. Looks at ball 1. Santiago, a .289 hitter with 5 homers, has 23 runs batted in. Came in and played a little at second base last night. 2 balls, no strikes. Figueroa is on deck. Santiago combining, and he can play either of those positions up the middle on the infield with Everett. 3 balls, no strikes. Tigers really like what Adam Everett has done for their ball club. Adam had a double last night. 3 balls and 1 strike.
Yeah, he's been a real difference maker for them. What he's done defensively, and he's had some big hits for him too.
Deep drive to right. Hunter Pence chasing it back. That is going to leave the yard. A home run for Santiago, number 6, gets the Tigers on the board. 2-1 Houston. Tigers at home in 11 straight games.
Felipe with a 3-1 fastball, attacking the middle of the strike zone. Santiago sitting dead red. It's a great shot of him. Got the head out and jumped all over. And if you were with us when we had Bob Booman, Bob talking about pitchers maturing and coming from the minor leagues to the big leagues, that's a great example of what we were talking about. In the minor leagues, when you got an arm like Paulino, you can throw a lot of 2-0, 3-1 cookies, say, here it is, hit it, and not pay too big of a price. But the percentages go way down at this level.
0-2 to Figueroa. First career at bat in the big leagues for Figueroa. And it is a strikeout. Number 5 for Paulino.
Well, 105 game wraps up interleague play for 2009 tomorrow afternoon. And if you're one of the first 10,000 fans, you'll receive an Astros gym bag from our friends at Kroger. First 10,000, pick up a gym bag.
Chris Granderson bats. He opened the game with strikeout after working the count full. Ball 1. Cardinals won today over Minnesota 5-3. So the Astros need a win to stay 4 games behind front-running St. Louis.
Some guy named Pujols hit a couple home runs for them.
Oh, really? Must be a rookie.
He now has 28.
28 bombs from 27 to 2. Ball, 2 strikes. McGuire probably at a better pace than that. But maybe not by much. Strikeout number 6. Paulino strikes out the side in the 3rd. It's 2-1 Houston. presented by Southwest Airlines. 2-1 ball game inside. And the Astros got a run in the first, added to that with an unearned tally in the second inning. Michael Bourne has scored one. He's driven one in. Jeff Keppinger works at strike one from Figaro. He struck out in the first inning as Bourne stole second base. Jeff Blum due to be activated off the disabled list tomorrow. 1 ball, 1 strike in his absence. Jeff Keppinger has played a lot of baseball. This is his 10th straight start at third base. Hit 273 in the previous 9 before this one.
Edwin Masonette, kind of the forgotten man now. He's not had many at bats lately. Performed well when given the opportunity, but you get the sense that he's probably the odd man out when Blummer gets activated.
That's because Matt Keita has had a chance to come up and be a pinch hitter successfully. He's a switch hitter, plays the infield spots as Edwin does. Keita has more major league experience. We're just wondering what might happen. Don't know anything. 3 balls, 2 strikes. But quite frequently in these situations, the veteran stays with the club because he's used to the bench role. The younger player goes down and plays every day. Still 3-2, but no matter what happens, Edwin Masonette has proved his value as a bench player and also as a potential emergency catcher. Should that ever be needed. Tejada and Lee will follow Keppinger to the plate. Fouls that one. Blum 1 for 4 with an RBI last night for Round Rock and a 2-1 loss. Bud Norris pitched well in that game. He was the loser. He's 3-5. He gave up 2 runs in 6 innings, struck out 6. Jeff Geary worked the final 2. They were scoreless. Been in. And Figaro, it's ball 4. Our Texas Ford Dealers League leaders will show you the Astros relief pitchers here in the month of June. Sampson 2-0 with a low ERA. How about Arias with a 0 ERA? 4 saves for Hawkins and 4 for Valverde. The 0 ERA.
LaTroy Hawkins saving the game last night. Valverde with a night off. And Sampson's been worked hard lately, as has Hawkins. So the big guy right there on Chris's right, Jeff Fulcino, could be an important man in tonight's game.
Miguel Tejada smacks one into left field. That's hit number 97 for Tejada this season. He leads the league. And it's first and second, nobody out. Tejada's ahead of last year's pace when he wound up with 179 hits. He's had 3 200-hit seasons. Most recent one 06 with Baltimore when he got his high of 214 hits in a year. Remember him maybe in a faulty way from last year, tapering off in the second half, but just checking back today, he hit 227 in June. Had 96 hits through July 1st last year. He has 97 already this year. So Tejada looking strong. Carlos Lee moves back from ball 1. Now, June was really the worst month Tejada had last season. Lee with the RBI single to left in the first made it 1-0. Miggy's helped set the table here for the big guy. 1-1 the count. Coming into today, the American League had won 122 games to the National League's 101. Interleague play, which wraps up tomorrow. All the way, and it's 1-2.
Another wild one in Chicago today. The White Sox claiming this one 8-7. Cubs hung on yesterday to win by a run. Lou Piniella apologized to Milton Bradley for sending him home during the game yesterday.
Oh, did he really?
After Bradley imploded in the dugout.
Why would he have to apologize for that?
I don't know that he had to, but he did. I think he just probably felt like that was a good way to turn the page on it.
Yeah.
Probably something along the lines of, I've been known to blow my stack on occasion too.
We've seen that. 2-2 to El Caballo. Punches one to right field. Kelly was able to snag it after an uncertain route to the ball. He gets out number 1.
Oh, might have got hung up in the lights a little bit. For whatever reason, he hesitated before finally coming in and finishing off the play as El Caballo made a bid for another RBI single. A little sinking line drive. Kelly ultimately corrals. Well, the young right-hander on the mound making just his second major league start. I'm going to have a chat with him at this critical time early in the game. A couple of men aboard for Lance Berkman.
Knapp, pitching coach. Young catcher, young pitcher. Berkman struck out on an inside fastball. First time up. 24 pitches in the first for Figueroa. The run because of the pass ball in the second inning was unearned. Now Berkman. He's had 2 of his daughters out to the ballpark today. Smack to center field. Granderson way back. That's extra bases up on top of Taos Hill. That'll score 2 as Berkman checks in with a double. 4-1 Astros. Berkman sent that one on a long, deep ride for double number 13, giving it 44 runs batted in, tying Carlos Lee.
A little breathing room for Felipe Paulino, something he has not had in most of his starts this year. Figueroa, the one report I read on him, has a good changeup, but the changeup has been an issue for him in this inning. The hit Tejada guy came on a changeup. This too, a little bit of a hanging changeup. Berkman splattered to center field.
Yes, he did. He crushed it. Lance was hitting .210 with men in scoring position when he came up the first time today. Hunter Pence, the batter. He fly to right. Strike for Figueroa. Astros with 4 runs on 6 hits off Figueroa. They peppered him with 2 hits in the first, 2 more in the second, now 2 more in the third. Hunter got a big RBI hit last night. That was in the 3rd inning. 1-1. Justin Verlander on the mound with a 4-0 lead. In the 3rd, Tejada had an RBI double. Pence an RBI single to cut that lead in half. It's 2-1 in that White Sox win over the Cubs 8-7. Bobby Jenks was the winner and Sean Marshall lost it. Scott Posednik hit home run number 3 off Ryan Dempster. Ozzie Guillen glad to have him back in the fold. Here's Berkman with a big jump on the way to third. He steals it easily. Stolen base number 5.
That's the time to do it with 1 out. Figueroa got into a pattern of checking once and then delivering home. So in this instance, as soon as he looked away, Lance took off. Puma growling.
That was Ty Cobb-esque. 5 stolen bases. The infield comes in. Matsui's on deck. Infield halfway. Pence rips a line drive left field. Off the wall, scoring Berkman to make it 5-1. Stand-up RBI double for Hunter Pence. His 14th double, RBI number 31.
There's blood in the water and the Sharks are circling. And Jim Leyland's hands are tied because his bullpen is tired, but how much abuse will he let his young right-hander take? That slider doesn't slide a whole lot. It's more of a hovering slider than a sliding slider.
Berkman scores, courtesy Pence. 7 hits for the Astros. Back-to-back doubles. Matsui Opened the home second with a single to right. Took second on a pass ball. Scored on the hit by Michael Bourne. Astros had 10 hits last night, scored 5 runs. Freddie Dulce's warming up. He was on the mound at the end of the game last night. Ball 1. Dulce finished up the bottom of the 8th, giving up the eventual game-winning sac fly to Miguel Tejada, pitching just 2/3 of an inning. He threw only 3 pitches in the game. Shortstop moves behind the base runner, Pence.
And big hole opened up for Matsui. It was Santiago tiptoeing in behind Pence, and Figueroa delivered the pitch. That's a no-no. And let the shortstop get back in position. But second major league start, a lot of nerves, getting hit around here.
Tigers starters brought the second best ERA in the American League into this game tonight, 4.09. 1 ball, 2 strikes, but Jim Leyland was excited to see young Figueroa in this game tonight.
Two-seam runner clips the outside edge.
Well, he has worked with a lot of fine pitchers. Fly ball right field. Kelly back. Still on the warning track. And at the wall, that is out. A 2-run homer for Matsui. Number 2 of the year. And the Astros stretch it out here in the 3rd. 5-run frame to make it 7-1.
Well, if they were circling in the water before, they're getting after their prey. Literally chewing him up now. Cue the jog music.
Matsui takes the tour, and it is a 6-run lead now with Quintero batting. He hits one up the middle. Backhanded, Polanco, and a good play. 2 outs. Looked like a hit off the bat.
Well, we've had all these 1-run games lately. The Astros have not been on the right side of many laughers this year, and it's too early to conclude this is a laugher. It's the 3rd inning, but it must feel good for Cecil Cooper to have a little working margin now. Relax a little bit. Enjoy the ball game.
Paulino struck out looking in the 2nd inning. Strike 1 to the 8th man to bat in the Houston 3rd. The home run by Matsui was his first since April 8th against Chicago's Ted Lilly. 166 at bats since that home run for Matsui. No balls, 2 strikes. Last night the Tigers unloaded both home runs in the game. 1-2. Last night's win really was out of the mold for the Astros. Possibly their best win of the year. Strikeout ends the 3rd inning for them, but they put up a 5 spot in the 3rd on 4 hits. Matsui going deep after Berkman drew the 2-run double. It's 7-1. Well, we've had a drought. Let's see if the Duck can swim in tonight. Aflac trivia time. When the Tigers opened Comerica Park on April 11, 2000, who was their starting pitcher catcher battery? Placido Polanco, 7-1 game. Takes strike one. He hit a fly ball to center. I'm going to just go out there right now.
I'm going to be right there with you.
Brian Moeller and Brad Ausmus.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay. One ball, one strike. Cabrera and Thames to follow Polanco now with Paulino with his 6-run lead.
Going with the theory, why else would they ask that question?
We've been fooled a lot on those, though. 1-2. Giants lead the Brewers at Milwaukee. 3-0 Giants. They're in the top of the fourth inning. Barry Zito on the mound. Bouncer shortstop Tejada. 1 out. Go to Bart now. Bart.
All right, Brownie, thanks a lot. No one more pleased with Hunter Pence's RBI double in the last inning than the folks out here in Hunter's Lodge, which is out here right field, right behind Hunter, so you get a close-up view of their favorite player. Astros have a pretty neat promotion going on for all you Hunter Pence fans. If you want to get back here and watch Hunter do his thing, for $30, you get a game ticket, you get a Hunter Pence T-shirt, you get entered into a drawing for an Astros gift. You go to Astros.com and find out more about the Hunter's Lodge package. I got some Pence fans out here right now. What'd you guys think of that double?
That was awesome.
Hunter's Lodge. Let's hear it for Hunter, everybody. Back to you, Brownie.
Line drive right center by Miguel Cabrera. He's on with a 1-out single here in the fourth. Bart got him stirred up.
Yeah, and Hunter's probably running across the outfield going, why are they cheering for Cabrera's base hit? What's going on here? Well, Paulino with a little wiggle room now can afford to be aggressive.
Marcus Thames on a 2-0 pitch, grounded to third. Thames takes ball one. He came off the DL on the 7th of June. And he's hit safely to the tune of 288 in his last 19 games since then. Hot shot into left field past a diving Keppinger. Cabrera takes the turn. Back-to-back singles by Cabrera and Thames bring up Kelly.
Yeah, you get a big lead like Felipe has now. He's got a 6-run lead in the fourth inning, so he knows he's just a few outs away from qualifying for a win, but you want to do better than that, obviously. You want to pitch as deep as you can, and that's obviously an issue because he's just coming off the DL, and they'll keep an eye on the pitch count. So the idea is to be very aggressive when you can, and then if the opposition gets a couple men on like they do now, then you alter your game plan a little bit and start to be a little bit more particular. You don't want to be throwing fastballs right down the middle where one swing of the bat puts the Tigers right back in the ballgame.
Don Kelly comes up. He struck out in the second inning. Ground ball. Berkman diving. Throws to second. Tejada with a stretch to get the force play. On Thames from 3 to 6. 2 outs. Excellent play. Cabrera to third. Kelly reaching.
Kelly hit the ball sharply, but Lance with a nice quick reaction, and then from the knees to nail Thames at second base. It really pays off to get rid of that ball early if you're the first baseman, because the longer you wait, the more the base runner becomes an issue.
Brandon Inge has runners at the corners now. 2 outs. He struck out in the second inning. That's strike one on a good heater from Paulino at 97. Dusty Ryan's on deck. Although you pointed out we have a little divergence between our velocities up on the scoreboard and on our screen. Fake throw to first by Quintero. It's 1-1.
Well, sometimes they're the same, sometimes they're different. It's hard to know. I just know, talking to other people around the league, they feel like the gun in our ballpark is a little fast.
A little different hitting style for Inge with that bat pointed back toward the pitcher this year. His hands are further away from his body. He feels that his hands have been freed up by this revision in his batting style. 2 balls and a strike. The Reds lead the Indians 5-1 at Cleveland. Right in the bottom of the 3rd. A revitalized Homer Bailey, who's come back throwing a good split finger pitch, is on the mound for the Reds.
There's a power slider in, sitting on a fastball.
2-2 for Paulino. He gets a swing and a miss, and strikeout number 7 for Paulino. The Astros leading at 7-1 in the 4th. It was Brian Mueller and Brad Austin. And they both came back to Houston. Interesting turn in both of their careers.
Brad's got a nice little gig working in LA right now, catching about once a week. This Day in Astros history is brought to you by the MD Anderson Cancer Center. June 27th, 1987. Kevin Bass, KB, becomes the first Astro to collect 4 extra base hits in a game. A cycle +1. Add a second double to a home run, triple, and a single. That's pretty slick. 6-5 win over the Giants. Larry Anderson got the save.
Here's Michael Bourne. Astros leading at 7-1. He takes it high from Figueroa. It's ball 1. Bourne is 2 for 2. Has stolen a base, scored a run, and driven in a run.
Saw Kevin Bass on TV today.
What was he doing? Oh, yeah, that replay of the '86 League Championship Series.
Yeah, Tim McCarver was dogging him for taking his shoes.
Was he?
Yeah, you remember the tale. They were trying to get Kevin. ABC did the playoffs that year. They were trying to get Kevin to do his Sammy Davis Jr. impersonation. And Kevin, always the shrewd businessman, said, "What would he give me for it?" And McCarver's like, "What do you mean?" Kevin said, "You got to pay me." And he looked down at McCarver's shoes. He said, "I like your shoes." And Timmy said, "All right, you can have my shoes. What size are you?" Kevin said 10.5, and that's exactly what McCarver was.
Oh.
Kevin did the impersonation, got the shoes.
And McCarver worked the game barefoot?
Well, no, fully expecting. No, he brought him in the next day in a bag.
Okay.
Fully expecting that Kevin would laugh it off. "No, I'm not going to take your shoes, man." And years later, they ran into each other again. Kevin said, "Hey, great shoes, man." Still wearing them.
Yeah.
But he did it. He did a great Sammy Davis. So it's, if you're McCarver, it's worth it.
He really was excellent at that. He did several others too.
Funny guy. He could hit a little bit too.
He can hit a golf ball.
Yeah, he could hit it.
Cut a dog leg very short. 3 balls, no strikes. Miguel Tejada on deck. 71 pitches have been thrown by Figueroa. Now it's 3-1 for Keppinger. The Astros bench has been looking very good in recent days. go back to presumably a Keppinger and Blum platoon starting tomorrow. That's ball 4. Keppinger walking for the second time. Both of the walks for Figaro have gone to him. Jack in the Box standings will feature the best records in June in the NL Central. It's Houston 14-9, Pittsburgh 12-11 as we play upside down cake.
And nobody in the division is red hot, and neither is anybody really ice cold, and because of it, everybody bunched tightly together. Very, very interesting race here in late June. 6 teams all within 5.5 games of first place.
Miguel Tejada looks at ball 1. It's hit by a pitch, and he singled.
Check that out.
This is just crazy this year.
That's tighter than a 2-wet swimsuit on a ride home from the beach. It's a Dan Ratherism.
Tejada takes the up and in pitch. He's been seeing a lot of those lately. 2 balls, no strikes. Jay Bruce hit his 18th for the Reds. They lead 5-1 at Cleveland in the bottom of the 3rd inning as the Reds try to work their way back to 500.
Well, Miggy covers that outside part of the plate so well. Yeah, you got to tie him up.
Popped up to second, caught by Polanco. 2 down. It's Carlos Lee. RBI single to left, line drive to right for El Caballo. Yankees lead the Mets 1-0, bottom of the 4th at Citi Field. Nick Swisher's 14th homer has provided the only run of the game. H.A. Burnett, the guy who benefited from that. Lance Berkman on deck. To shallow right field. There's a sprint for Polanco and a slide by Kelly for the catch. No runs, no hits, and a man stranded after 4. It is 7-1 Astros. Sports Houston is brought to you by AT&T, by Dodge, by Reliant Energy, and by Southwest Airlines. Fans coming upstairs to the club level, and it is 7-1. The Astros have ratcheted up their offense early in this game. Rusty Ryan leads it off in the 5th for Detroit. There's strike 1, mid-90s heater from Paulino. Ryan struck out in the 3rd inning.
Well, Felipe having himself one fine night here so far. There's a disappearing slider. Mike Hampton rejoins the rotation in San Diego in a couple of days, so presumably somebody's going to have to go, and Paulino making his case emphatically here tonight. He does not want to be the man.
Well, he's had good fastball command in this game. Velocity has not suffered. He's at pitch number 58 only so far, so it shouldn't to this point. Foul away. Still 1-2, and he has a new strikeout high of 7. That ties the 7. He struck out 7 Rockies back on June 2nd here.
You pitch away from number 8 here. Ryan strikes out a lot. Struck out about a third of his at bats in the minor leagues. He's got a lot of power and hit it a long, long way if he catches up to it.
Well, then it's 2-2. Ryan from Merced, California, went to Merced Junior College. He was a 48th round pick in 03 by Detroit. 24 years old.
We've talked about converting him to pitcher.
Really?
Yep. He wants to see what he can do with his catching thing.
Shot knocked down. Matsui will scramble, throw from a knee and get it. Ryan just blistered the ball. Matsui knocked it down and made a play on him.
Goslow shaking his head as if he's not happy with himself, but my goodness, anything he can do to make a play on a ball like that. That thing was scorched. He was so nimble.
Must be all that stretching he does. Santiago looks at the first pitch. And now there's an off-speed pitch from Paulino, showing some different wrinkles here the second time through. It's 1-1. Figueroa on deck. Line left field corner, but foul. 1-2 to Santiago.
Hey, nice play out there. Well, she went to spring training to get ready to make this play. Yeah. Give her a contract.
Inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Freddie Dulce's warming up again in the bullpen. She doesn't care much about that. She's got her baseball. Washington 3, Baltimore 1, 4th inning. Interesting to hear from Bob Boone about that Washington club.
It was interesting to watch what Humberto Quintero just did. He called for a fastball away, and Paulino shook to the slider, threw a bad one, and Q threw him a 94-mile-an-hour fastball back to the mound. Kind of in line with what Bob Boone was talking about.
Yeah, he got his slider, and he got his 8th strikeout for a new Major League high in one game.
Ice Age Down to the Dinosaurs is hatched in theaters July 1st. Well, that's right around the corner. It's the coolest comedy of the summer. It's on my must-see list with Sid the Sloth. So you were talking about Booney.
Yeah. And just about how they have to rebuild because they didn't have a farm system. Major League Baseball didn't really put much money at all into that farm system while it was holding ownership of the Expos/Nationals. And so that's a huge building job that they have right now.
Yeah, and it was interesting to hear how he's somewhat conflicted over this whole first round. They got the first round pick this year, or first pick in the nation, and are likely to have it again next year. I don't know if anybody's going to be able to run them down with their .296 winning percentage, but I mean it's nice to have, but it's very expensive.
Oh, very. Strikeout number 9. Paulino keeps extending his high and maintains a 7-1 lead through 4.5. 7-1 Houston, bottom of the 5th inning, and Home Depot presents Doing More on Defense, showing you one of the longest rundowns of the year. Michael Bourne has the run scored with Matsui, then got involved in a rundown, and it went 9-3, 6-4, 3-6-5.
We should be playing the Benny Hill theme music behind it.
Brandon Ings, the third baseman, made a diving tag.
And of course, probably never mentioned it, that Michael probably should have just stayed put at first base. There's situations where with 2 outs you want to take a big aggressive turn in hopes that they cut the ball off to make sure the run scores, but with Matsui being the runner, you trust that he's going to score on just about any base hit. But that does not diminish the effort.
Nope. 2-0 to Berkman. Berkman on this homestand is 6 for 13 with 6 runs batted in. Bruce Chen is back in the major leagues, starting for Kansas City and Pittsburgh. 3-2 Pirates. Chen gave up a home run. Delwyn Young had a 3-run shot off him.
Yeah, they called up Chen when they put Kyle Farnsworth on the DL.
It's 3 balls and a strike. Lance drew 3 walks last night. He's drawn 53 this year, tied for 4th in the league, tied for 3rd in the league rather. And the air foul, still a full count now for Lance, and pitch count for the game 82 for Figueroa.
Well, it's a pretty brave 3-1 fastball he just threw Lance.
Jim Leyland was talking about looking at a young pitcher like Figueroa, who pitched well in his last start, got a win, and just a chance to see the upside that this young man could bring to the rotation for Detroit. Jeremy Bonderman's been out all year. Fly ball, shallow left field. Thames is loping over for it toward the line. 1 out. Let's go to Bart.
All right, Brownie, we've been telling everybody for a couple of days now about the Kids Get In Free feature up here in the mezzanine or the view deck. If you buy an adult ticket, you get 2 Kids Get In Free tickets, kids 14 and under. And when you got a group like this right here, if you've got an entire Little League team in your family, this can save you some significant cash. A lot of families, kids out here enjoying the ball game. As you can see, these guys are having a blast. 14 and under kids get in free now through August 23rd. You guys want some popcorn here? I'm sharing if you want popcorn. See, this is how I make friends out here, Brownie.
That would be a great deal for John and Kate.
Who?
+8.
Who put their bubble gum in my popcorn?
It's not going to work out anymore.
That was, yeah. Yeah, we got issues out here, Brownie. Back to you.
All right. Hunter Pence has an RBI double. He's 1 for 2. Swings at the breaking pitch for an 0-2 count. We were talking about the Tigers rotation. Bonderman has made 1 start. He's back on the disabled list now. Dontrell Willis on the DL. He's 1-4 with a 7.49 ERA. So those 2 guys hurt. It's Figueroa pitching tonight, and the throw completes the strikeout on Hunter Pence.
And one of the better stories is young Rick Porcello, who's pitched so well for them. We don't see him in this series. We got Edwin Jackson in the finale tomorrow afternoon, but Rick is 8-4 with a 3.55. He's just 20 years of age, just a couple of years removed from high school.
Edwin Jackson has one of the best ERAs around, 2.40. He's 6-4. He's already worked 101 innings. Matsui looks at ball 1. Matsui with a single and a 2-run homer tonight. So it all adds up to a 4.13 Tiger ERA coming into this game. 1 ball, 1 strike. Their 7th in runs scored. They really don't think they have hit the way they should. That's what Lloyd McClendon, the hitting coach, was saying tonight. 2 balls and a strike. Marlins lead the Rays 2-1. They're in the top of the 5th at St. Petersburg. Chris Volstad on the mound against Scott Kazmir of Houston.
Kazmir's just coming off the DL, isn't he?
Yes, he is. Brett Carroll hit home run number 2 for the Fish. Carlos Pena number 23 for for the Rays. Been a big home run year for the leaders in both leagues. Sharply hit. Polanco has it. And in the fifth, Figueroa regroups. He has his first 1-2-3 inning. The Astros lead it 7-1. For our Dodge Crab Live feature, here's Hunter Pence on his favorite video game.
Well, I just quit again. This is like my third time to try to quit World of Warcraft. But I like World of Warcraft. I like Halo and Madden football, NCAA football.
He's a busy guy. He's a blur. He's always moving, keeping active. Right now he's in right field with a 7-1 lead for the Astros, and the top of the order due up against Paulino. Ball one to Granderson. Granderson has whiffed both times tonight in a 9 strikeout evening for Paulino. One goes toward left field. Carlos Lee waiting. One out for Paulino here in the 6th. Placido Polanco next. He's fly to center and grounded to short. Wandy Rodriguez has the strikeout high by an Astro this season with 11 at Colorado May 14th.
It's pretty impressive that he's got 9 strikeouts in the 6th inning here, and he's only thrown 74 pitches.
Yeah.
And usually you equate big strikeout games with high pitch counts, deep counts, and foul balls, and things of that nature.
Due up second in the bottom of the 6th. It's a bad swing there from Polanco, and the count goes to 1 ball, 1 strike. Cardinals with their win over Minnesota 5-3 went to 41-35 this afternoon. To center field, Michael Bourne coming in. 2 outs.
Imagine the thinking on the Tiger bench right now is very similar to our thinking the other night when Hochevar was pitching, and we were like, this guy has a 6-something ERA. He looks like Cy Young.
Yeah. 7 runs of support tonight, 8 in the previous 8 starts for Paulino. Miguel Cabrera single to right center in the 4th. He's 1 for 2. And a changeup worked for strike 1. Paulino's first start with the Astros this year was a dandy. 6 shutout innings here against Cincinnati, but a no decision. 1 ball, 1 strike. In terms of innings pitched, he's gone 4 different times this season. That's been his high for the Astros this year. Last night, Wandy Rodriguez gave up 4 runs in the first 2 innings and then shut down the Tigers after that. Stayed in for 6. One hopper Matsui over to Berkman. In the 6th inning, it goes quickly for Detroit. The Astros up 7-1. It's the Coors Light 6th inning. Let's check out Frost Brewed Coors Light Freeze Cam, showing you the strikeouts of Paulino. Good moving fastball. The breaking ball has worked for some of his strikeouts tonight. He's totaled 9 in the first 6 innings and really established that fastball command early on the outside part of the plate to right-handed batters. He's worked off that. Has looked very sharp. Now here is Paulino watching and from the on-deck circle as Humberto Quintero takes strike 1. Felipe with 6 innings of very good 3-hit 1-run baseball, has not walked anybody. Been a great return to the rotation after being on the disabled list for 3 weeks. 4 balls, 2 strikes, and he's very much still in this game. Loop to right field, and that dunks in for a hit in front of Kelly. Quintero 1 for 3 in this game. That's what he's been working on.
That ball got in on him a little bit, but that outfield stroke pays off. He flips it into shallow right field. Now Paulino will be asked to bunt him over.
Q has 9 hits in his last 23 at bats. Paulino was struck out both times. Inge moving in at third base. Now really coming as he takes strike 1. 96 pitches so far for Figueroa. Cardinals beat Kevin Slowey of Minnesota this afternoon. He lasted only 3 innings, giving up a pair of Pujols homers. Bunted off the screen. 4 balls, 2 strikes.
Paulino doing everything right on the mound tonight. His attempts to bunt have not been very solid.
Michael Bourne's on deck. This bunt will get it done, and he's just barely moving up the line, probably by orders. 3rd sacrifice of the year for Paulino.
The Astros in-game box score shows you that everybody has been on base except for Felipe, and now he has contributed with that sac bunt. After looking a little wobbly, ultimately gets it down. Good solid effort top to bottom in that lineup.
Paulino with his third sack. It's Quintero into scoring position for Bourne. Bourne is 2 for 3 with an RBI in the second inning on a 2-out single. Strike to Michael. The Astros just 14th in runs scored in the National League prior to tonight. Their ERA in home games has come down to 3.84 before this game. So if they continue to do what they've been doing offensively last night and tonight, they could really put together a nice run at home. 1 ball, 1 strike. It's Russ Ortiz and Edwin Jackson tomorrow with a 1:05 start, the finale of the homestand. Then a road trip to San Diego for 4 and San Francisco for 3.
Yeah. Going out there, and it's going to be 75 degrees in San Diego. Be a little cooler than that in San Francisco. We're going to really miss this 103-degree heat.
Yes, we are. We should take a space heater along with us just to feel comfortable. Foul away. Boy, it's been hotter than normal, though, for this time of year here. And so dry. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Good play there. Roy Oswald will open up the road trip Monday night at Petco Park against Josh Gear. Down to the right side and through into right field. Quintero stopping at third. A single for Michael Bourne, his 3rd hit of the game.
All able to squirt through the hole on the right side. A stop sign for Quintero. An RBI opportunity for Keppinger now. Michael, boy, he's having a nice night. And Jimmy Leland may be finally going to pull the plug here on Figueroa. Or not.
Just asking him tonight, JD. We were talking last night about his background and when he started in Pittsburgh. What was it like then? He said it was pretty bad. And he said he honestly could not see any light at the end of the tunnel in that situation. Well, it turned out very well for him with those playoff teams, but then things turned south again. They had to rebuild. Tigers and Astros tomorrow, 12:30. It's our next telecast. Hopefully right here on Fox Sports News 2.
Jimmy originally signed as a minor leaguer with the Tigers. It was his original organization. Same for Gene Lamont, as a matter of fact. You know, his third base coach.
Lloyd McClendon, the hitting coach, also a former Pittsburgh manager. Jeff Keppinger has struck out and walked twice. First and third, 1 out for Keppinger with Tejada on deck. First year in Pittsburgh, 86 for Leland. Strike 1.
He was almost a manager here.
Yeah.
When Hal Lanier was fired.
Well, there was a story.
Not fired, but hired. When Hal was hired, Jimmy Leland interviewed and was one of the candidates.
The way I heard the story, Jim Leland wanted to seem like a Texan. He came in for the interview and he wore cowboy boots, jeans. And John McMullen was the Astros owner at that time. I believe he was more of the suit and tie preference. So that choice of clothing did not go over very well. Not that that was the sole reason.
Jimmy should have consulted with a fashion expert.
It worked out pretty well for him. He was in Pittsburgh from 86 through 96. In Florida for 2 years, in Colorado for 1, and this is his 4th year in Detroit. And of course, he had those 3 first-place finishes in a row, 90 through 92 with Pittsburgh.
Manager of the year in 90 and 92.
Broken bat roller to shortstop. And a little juggle there by Santiago. He gets the out as the run scores. Quintero scoring to make it 8-1. Kepinger's bat is shattered. He gets RBI number 11. on the 6-3 play, with Bourne taking second.
Talk about getting into someone's kitchen. A great pitch by Figaro, but a good result for Keppinger. Softly hit ground ball gives them no option but to play at first. The run scores, no double play opportunity, and RBI for Keppinger.
Miguel Tejada has a runner at second and 2 outs. He has a single, and he's been hit by a pitch. '97 Marlins, managed by Jim Leyland, finished second. Strike to Tejada. That first year with Pittsburgh, he went from a last place finish, 44 games out, 64-98 record. The next year they won 80, then 85, and then by 90 they won 95, 98, and 96 in those next 3 years. One and one.
And they continue to celebrate that in Pittsburgh today because they haven't done anything since.
Dusty Ryan took over in the first inning for the injured Gerald Laird after back spasms. Michael Bourne, the runner, at second. Padres 3, Rangers nothing at Texas. They're in the middle of the third inning. Kevin Correa pitching against Derek Holland. Line drive left field. Back is Tamsin leaping. He makes the grab at the wall. The Astros come away with a 6th inning run on 2 hits and leave a man. It's 8-1 Houston after 6.
The 10-year bracket challenge. The quarterfinals continue this week. Craig Biggio's final game in 07 versus Jeff Kent's a game winner, bottom of the ninth in the 2004 NLCS. Go to Astros.com to cast your vote today. Watch out for Cleveland State.
It's 8-1. The Astros have the lead. They've out-hit the Tigers 10-3 with no errors for either club. Marcus Thames leads it off in the 7th inning for Detroit. It's ball 1 from Paulino. And for win number 2 of the season. Paulino floats that one high, and it's 2 balls, no strikes. Angels got a home run from Mike Napoli and beat the Diamondbacks in Arizona 2-1. Two balls and a strike for Paulino. Paulino was out with a right groin strain. Fly ball left field. Carlos Lee in. 1 down. What's on tap with the Astros is brought to you by Bud Light. Showing the final game of the series tomorrow. Edwin Jackson, that low ERA 2.40, 6 wins, 4 losses. versus Russ Ortiz. He's 3-3. His ERA coming down. It's 3.47. It's pitched well.
Tampa Bay might want a mulligan on the Edwin Jackson trade.
What did they get for him?
I forget the name now.
Matt Joyce?
Yeah, he's in the minor leagues now. Although, you got to let these deals breathe for a while, see what happens down the road.
Well, Matt Joyce. Jackson was 14-11 last year for the Rays at a 4.42 ERA. One and two for Paulino. 2 balls, 2 strikes. The fact that Wandy stayed in the game for 6 innings last night after giving up 4 runs in the first 2 really helped the bullpen. Tejada slants over toward the left field line. 2 down.
Yeah, it was a nice job of Wandy hanging in there and limiting to a certain extent the amount of innings the bullpen had to work. And the Astros came back and won that ball game, of course. But I mean, you talk about bonus time. I'd imagine if you'd asked Cecil Cooper before the game, let's play a little Monty Hall, let's make a deal here. You get 5 innings out of Paulino and you have the lead or in the game, would you take it? And I gotta believe he'd say absolutely.
1 to Inge. Brendan Backey was designated for assignment after the game last night, so Paulino could be activated from the DL tonight. 1-1, so the Astros have 10 days to decide what move to make. Brandon, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Could trade him, release him. I believe they've offered him an opportunity to go to Round Rock if he so chooses. If not, Brandon with enough service time where he can become an unrestricted free agent and look for work elsewhere.
2-2. From what we understand, he has 5 years plus in the major league, so that will guarantee him his salary for the rest of the year from the Astros.
Right, his situation different than Jeff Geary's. Had Geary refused the assignment to AAA, the Astros would not have to have paid him. Not the case with Brandon. He gets paid either way. And if you're in Brandon's shoes, I think it's just a matter of having your agent make some phone calls, see what's available out there. And this is not a big league job available. Which AAA club, which situation gives you the best chance to advance to the big leagues? And of course, this being his hometown, I think he would love to fight his way back to the Astros.
2-hop, Tejada to Barker. It's 11 straight retired by Paulino. He leads it 8-1. Our game summary is brought to you by the Texas Ford dealers, showing you a career high 9 strikeouts and a career high 7 innings for Felipe Paulino. He has set down 11 in a row. The Astros have 6 players with at least 1 RBI. They lead at 8-1. Every batter but Paulino has reached base, and he has contributed a sac bunt. The Astros 6 for 12 with runners in scoring position. Much better offensive story than for most of their home games. Josh Anderson, the former Astro, checks in as the right fielder. He's batting 9th in the double switch, bringing Freddie Dulce to the mound. He's 1-5, his ERA 3.91. First pitch, strike one to Carlos Lee, who's 1 for 3 with an RBI. Alfredo Figueroa allowed 10 hits and 8 runs in 5 innings. 6 innings, rather. Firestone in-game box score. There's a corner, and it's no balls and 2 strikes for El Caballo. Of the 8 runs, 7 were earned, allowed by Figueroa. He had 2 walks and struck out 5. He also hit a batter. 110 pitches for Figueroa tonight. It's cracked on the line to left field. Marcus Thames over to his right. Lee is on with a single. He's 2 for 4. Don Kelly has moved to third base. Pitcher is batting 6th. And an inch coming out of the game. Lance Berkman with a 2-run double in the third is 1 for 3. Colorado and Oakland start later in Oakland. De La Rosa versus Cahill. Strike to Berkman.
Good change up there. Dulce, it's a max effort delivery he's got. He comes flying off the rubber.
Jeff Fulcino's warming up for Houston. Bounced into right field. Lee to second base on a single by Berkman. Berkman's having quite a homestand. 2 for 4 tonight.
Yeah, a bunch of hits and a new daughter. That's a good homestand. It's a great homestand. You could go over, get a new daughter and have a great homestand.
Yeah. 2 homers in the game against Kansas City, of course. Bannister. 3 hits in that game, 3 walks last night. A couple more hits tonight. 2 men on for Hunter Pence with nobody out. The Astros now have a dozen hits. Pence with one of those, an RBI double in the third. He's scored a run. J.A. Happ and the Phillies shut out Toronto 10-0. Happ going to 5-0. Jason Worth with his 14th and 15th. A home run hitter for the Phillies in Toronto. Pedro Feliz hit his 4th. Ball 1 to Hunter. Astros' largest margin of victory, 8 runs. A 9-1 win against Pittsburgh, June 5th. Up the middle, Polanco with the toss. Santiago coming across for the 4-6-3 double play. Lead at third base.
Nice turn out there. In the middle of the infield for the Detroit Tigers. Adam Everett gets the night off.
Our power play is brought to you by Reliant Energy, showing you Kazuo Matsui on a 1-2 pitch in the third. With Pence at second base, a 2-run homer, one of his 2 hits tonight. Second home run of the year, the first since the 8th of April. Ending a drought of 166 at bats for Kazuo. Now he's up for the 4th time. Dulce with ball 1.
Talking with Gene Lamont this afternoon, visiting in Dennis Laborio's office before BP, and Lance poked his head in and chatting with Gene a little bit. Lance said, "Hey, what's the deal? Every one of your pitchers throw 95?" Again, here's Dulce just lighting the radar gun up at 97. You got talking about the Bob Boone coming in and honoring Pudge. Gene was managing the White Sox when Pudge Fisk established that record.
Be interesting to hear what he had to say about it. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Memory serves, he was just kind of hanging on. He wanted to catch one more game than Boone.
Right, and the plan was for him to do it the year before, but he got hurt.
Okay.
So they came back the next year. And as you recall, in 1993, the White Sox were really good. They won the division that year. And Pudge was hurt. He couldn't throw anymore. So basically what they did, they would put him into games in lopsided game situations just so he could get the games caught and continue to move toward that record.
Well, this one's a lot more meaningful than that. With Pudge being a guy who's still able to catch several days a week and wants to play even more years after this one. 3 balls, 2 strikes, so he has every possibility to shatter this record. Popped up. Santiago in for the catch. No runs, 2 hits, 1 left for the Astros. After 7, it is 8-1 Astros.
Welcome back. It's 8-1. The Astros lead the Tigers. Top half of the 8th inning is upon us. Follow the Astros on your iPhone and iPod Touch with MLB.com. At Bat 2009 features play-by-play, video highlights, and live audio broadcasts. Visit Astros.com on your iPhone or iPod Touch to purchase. Get your iPod Touch.
All right, we'll work on that. Jeff Fulcino's in. 2-3 with a 2.76 ERA, 20 appearances, first earned run allowed on Wednesday since May 21st. He had quite a string going before then. Dusty Ryan takes his first pitch, and it's strike 1 for Fulcino after 7 sparkling innings by Paulino.
It's like a made-up name, Dusty Ryan.
Yeah. Whoa, broken bat liner caught by Fulcino.
Shattered Shadubi. And this did not have a lot of steam on it going back to the mound because he hit it with his thumbs, but still a nice play by the big fella.
Yeah.
Watch out for that projectile.
Thing of beauty for a pitcher to snap one off like that and catch it. Santiago, the batter.
That's when you want to take a bite out of the ball and just spike it to stare the guy down. I broke your bat. I caught your weak little line drive.
Well, why not? The hitter does a dance if he hits a home run. Strike 1 to Santiago. He struck out looking after the homer.
Dennis Eckersley used to shoot guys.
Yeah. Rolled out to second for Matsui.
Just to point at guys in the on deck circle too and say, "You're next." Talk about having some bravado. I want that guy on my team.
Josh Anderson had a chance to help this Tiger club. And last night he displayed that, coming off the bench, stealing a base in the 9th inning. 259 for Josh, no homers, 12 runs batted in. He was an Atlanta Brave prior to arriving in Detroit. He's only hitting 184 over his last 24 games. Bounce to second. Matsui flipping to Berkman, and it's a quick 8th inning for Fulchino with the Astros leading 8-1. Speed with the AT&T Rapid Rewind. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Alberto Quintero takes the pitch from Freddie Dulce. The count runs to 2 balls, no strikes. Bottom of the 8th inning. The Astros lead at 8-1. They've out hit the Tigers 12-3. Darren Erstad comes out to the on-deck circle. Pitcher spot due up next with Tim Burdack in the bullpen. Fly ball left field. Marcus Thames backing on it. Makes the grab at the track. 1 out.
Well, there's Rick Adelman, the head coach of the Rockets here. His son RJ taking in the ball game.
Darren Erstad, the pinch hitter now for Fulchino. The Rockets are wheeling and dealing on draft day. Wesley Wright is throwing the bullpen, not Tim Burdack. And it's Darren Erstad who delivered that big 2-run pinch homer a few nights ago. And then last night, drew a pinch walk from a guy throwing over 100, Zumaya, in the 8th inning. That was a key in the game. The Astros had Matsui on first, 1 out in the 8th inning, and Erstad was behind in the count. Then he battled back to draw that walk. So he's 3 for 8 in his last 6 games. Hit the 2-run homer in the 6th inning against Kansas City Wednesday night. His 2nd career pinch hit homer. The Astros lost that game 4-3 in the 11th, but at the time his home run gave them a 2-1 lead. One ball, 1 strike. Line shot to left center field. That was really scorched. Erstad's getting some rhythm, and he's in with a pinch double this time. Maybe those starts he got when he was DHing.
Not maybe, absolutely. And that's why you've got to use that bench. Like anything else, if you don't use it, it's going to get rusty. I mean, there have been a handful of guys over the years that have developed into being such good pinch hitters that they can be successful doing only that, not needing the occasional start. But for the most part, those bench guys count on getting some ABs to stay sharp and get 2 or 3 at a time. It really pays off.
Ball 1 to Michael Bourne. He's 3 for 4 tonight. Hits by 8 different Astros, totaling 13 in this game. It's 2 balls, no strikes. Dulce working the 8th inning. The Tigers have not had a hit since the 4th. They have their 1, 2, 3 hitters due up in the 9th.
Dulce's thrown that thing up there with every fiber of his being.
Sure appears to be the case.
Well, he's got a good arm. He's going 94, 95. And I think there's got to be some deception with that delivery, too, the way he kind of comes jumping at you.
Swings that leg around. 3 balls and a strike. Boston shut out Atlanta in Atlanta 1-0.
Long stride. Let's generate leverage and power.
Just generated walk number 3 for the Tigers. Michael Bourne on for the 4th time tonight in 5 trips, boosting his on-base average, which began the night at 372. Keppinger is 0 for 2 with an RBI, 2 walks. Tim Wakefield pitched the shutout for Boston in Atlanta, 1-0. Wakefield joining the 10-game winners. He's 10-3. Jonathan Papelbon got his 18th save. Wakefield's got to be an all-star this year, doesn't he?
I hope so. It'd be fun. He's never made an all-star team.
Javier Vasquez going to 5-7 with the tough loss for the Braves. Bouncer third. Kelly to second, and then the relay by Polanco makes it a 5-4-3 double play. No runs a hit, a man left, moving to the 9th. It's 8-1 Astros. Played 6 consecutive 1-run games at home. Hopefully not tonight, the Astros say. Stay tuned after the game for Astros Live, presented by MD Anderson. Kevin Eschenfelder out there along with Jimmy Wynn. Don't see Jimmy, but he's okay. Kevin knows exactly where he is.
He's got him.
He's got him. We'll have analysis with Jimmy Wynn, and you'll hear from Cecil Cooper and have interleague highlights from Barry LeBrock with a final score coming up on the MD Anderson postgame show. Astros Live. And it's Wesley Wright coming in to work the 9th inning. He set a new strikeout high with 4 the other night in an inning and a third.
Yeah, Wesley with a chance to come back from the minor leagues probably sooner than he anticipated, but he threw the ball well the other night. And, pitching for the Astros tonight has been outstanding. Paulino, Fulchino, and now Wesley to finish things up here. It could not have played out any better for Cecil Cooper with some tired arms in that pen.
Ryan Rayburn is a pinch hitter for Curtis Granderson. Gives Rayburn an at bat. And Jim Leland knows how to use his people. There's ball 1 to Rayburn. 256 for Ryan, 5 homers, 18 driven in. Rayburn looks at that one. And the count goes to 1-1. Rayburn 0 for 1 in last night's game as a pinch hitter. Hit a walk-off homer Tuesday against the Cubs. That was a pinch hit 2-run shot with 1 out of the 9th. It's 1-2. That was the first walk-off homer by a Tiger since Lou Whitaker in '95.
Really?
Good grief.
What's going on with these Tigers?
They must not need to walk off. They win them earlier. And Rayburn's down on strikes. The right opens with a K. He's on a strikeout roll.
Not quite Mitch Stetter, but impressive nonetheless. Stetter's recorded 18 of his last 19 outs.
Oh, really?
A strikeout, yeah.
15 straight outs for Astros pitching. Jeff Fulchino had a spotless 8th. Placido Polanco 0 for 3. Tiger 1 and 2 hitters have not been on base in this game. There's ball 1. Wesley Wright said he was throwing mostly fastballs Thursday night in that win against Kansas City. And that pitch worked very well for him. 27 pitches in that game for Wesley. Didn't need to throw the breaking stuff very much. Fastball was lively. Miguel Cabrera's on deck. San Diego leads at Texas 6-1 in the top of the 5th inning. Popped up on the right side. Berkman calling. 2 down. The Tigers brought a 7-game winning streak into Minute Maid Park last night. Well, the Astros are hoping to make this another series win. 37,173 the paid attendance. Miguel Cabrera's 1 for 3. Astros have won 6 of their last 8 series, but Kansas City dealt them a setback 2 games to 1. The win tonight would assure them of a split on this homestand. They won 12 of their last 18 games, and a win tonight moves them 2 games under 500. Back on a good cut by Cabrera. It's 0-2.
Fans have been entertained tonight. Briskly moving game, well pitched, some big moments for the Astros offensively, and now we're going to see this one put to bed.
An early bedtime. They seem to be ready for it.
Time to go to dinner for them.
Swing and a miss at a slider, and Wesley Wright finishes a run of outs. 17 straight Tigers retired by Astros pitchers to clinch the series with an 8-1 win tonight. Out hitting Detroit 13-3. Cecil Cooper's club has now taken 13 of its last 19. Goes back to 2 games under 500. Stays 4 games behind front-running St. Louis. Final score as Paulino beats Figueroa